I know it's been a hot second since I have posted anything. Sorry about that. Sorry for the general lack of communication about that as well. As I have a habit of saying on this channel, life got busy. I work as a freelance online marketer for multiple different authors, and two of the authors that I work for had book launches within 2 weeks of each other, and so I've just been kind of slammed. That, plus starting a new full-time job, means that I'm still figuring out rhythms, and what life even looks like, let alone having time for writing and resting and family time and social time and all of that. I'm still just figuring it all out, so some things had to take a back burner, including social media and YouTube and everything else in life. But I don't know how soon I will be back to posting regularly. I do have a couple videos pre-filmed now, so I hope you enjoy. I mostly am just going to start talking about books a lot, because I like books, and I have a lot of them. Ow, I just hit my bookshelf. Don't do that. That hurts. Anyway, I appreciate all of you, and I want to say thank you to my Patreon. Nathaniel has been a huge support all the way through this entire season of COVID. I'm going to call it a season because I don't believe that it's part of our new reality, but I don't think everything happening with COVID is going to continue on in a reality as a major factor like it is right now forever. It will eventually go away. I just don't know when that will be. But at the same time, it has been so incredibly helpful to have somebody constantly excited to read the short stories that I put out and hear updates about all of the exciting things that are happening, including things that, like my book going out on submission. Book 1 is being looked at by editors at publishing houses. I'm fine. Anyway, so thank you, Nathaniel. If you want to be cool like Nathaniel, you can go join my Patreon family. There's a link down below. Anyway, all that to say, sorry I've been away. I will be back at some point more regularly, but for right now, I have at least a couple videos for you. So, thank you and enjoy. Today I wanted to rant about some books that I haven't stopped thinking about ever. These books are the ones that have stuck with me ever since I read them the first time. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. I just know that I think about them every so often with fondness and affection, and certain scenes just stick with me. Anyway, so we're gonna start with The Lord of the Rings, specifically the Fellowship of the Lord The Lord of the Rings. This book is The Fellowship of the Ring. Specifically, Tom Bombadil. If you don't know Tom Bombadil, it's because you haven't read the book, because he's not in the movies. I think about this way too often, and Tom Bombadil way too often, and that's all. Yeah. Next, let's talk about Wild Magic by Tamora Pierce. This is the first book in her quartet called The Immortals, and I think about these books, again, way more often than I ought to, given how long ago I read them. I read them in 5th grade? Somewhere between 5th grade and 7th grade, it was the first time that I read these books. So, that tells you something. It's been a hot minute. I still think about them all the time, though, and maybe it's because my first fictional crush, well, somebody who was one of my first fictional crushes. I don't know who was first. Numier, if you're familiar with these books, you will know Numier. He was one of my first fictional crushes, and I don't know, I just think about them every once in a while. The magic I really just think about the magic. It's so interesting. Anyway, it's been a hot second. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I think about Tom and Huck way more often than I ought to. Well, I guess ought to is dependent on how often you think you should think about books that you haven't read for years. Anyway, Huckleberry Finn was also up there in terms of fictional crushes. I don't know why, but I really like him. Anyway, so I think about this book a lot more often than you would think I would, given that the last time I read it was 7th. No. It was in high school, but that was still, like, more than a few years ago. Not to age myself or anything. This book is one of the few books that I have reread. If you've been around this channel, you already have seen this book multiple times. I'm going to keep talking about this book and this author until everyone in the world has read this author and this book. This book is one of my favorite books in the entire world. If I had to pick one, it would probably be this one. It's so interesting. And I love it. I don't know which part of it I think of the most. There's a specific scene where there's pickpocketing going on. I think about that one pretty often. It's just well written and interesting and intricate and a well-designed plot. And I love it. It's a comfort book. It is literally like the book that I read when I just need like a hug from a book. I'm sure you have books like that too, so I'm not going to think too much about that and what that might say about me. Next, this book, I think about this book every once in a while just because it's interesting. Again, it's just interesting. Scenes and characters and scenarios from this book just pop into my head while I'm doing other things. And I just think about this book way too often. I don't know why. I actually, you know what part of this book that I think about the most? Is one of the main characters' handguns. I think about the fact that she has a smaller handgun because it fits in her hand better. Really random little detail there, but yeah. This book I got as a review book back when I was in college. I was intrigued by it when I was watching it. Watch me from the table where we picked them up from. Because I was like, maybe it's about a werewolf, ? It wasn't. It was about a girl who it's essentially about a feral girl who learns how to be a human. So everything in me that loves wild things and people who are not quite normal, just really enjoyed this book. And there's a lot of good messages about acceptance and love, and literally on the back it says, for anyone who has found a monster within, Beast is a tale of truth and transformation. And that's like, yeah, that sums it up really, really well. I think that is something that has spoken to me for many, 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 many years. The whole feeling different and feeling a little weird and relating to the monsters more than I relate to the heroes. Anyway, so this book, I think about it sometimes. Often. Yeah. Lastly, this book, I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak. You know this author if you have ever been told to read The Book Thief. Same author. That should tell you something about the quality of this book. It is literally so good, and because of The Book Thief, people don't actually know about this book. I distinctly remember picking this book up in like 7th or 8th grade. I probably was too young to read it, but I found it at the library and I thought that looks interesting, and so I picked it up and I brought it home and I read it. And it is so good. The way that this character learns how to love and how to care about the world is life-changing. So good. Again, I just think about it all the time, and it's been a while. I should reread this one. It's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah. That's it. That's this video. I just wanted to tell you about some of the books that I think about on a regular basis. What books do you think about on a regular basis, and why, if you can, if you know? Okay. Until next time. I'll see you then.